Hi there, this is Anna, and just a quick video. I posted some pictures on my blog that had photos of some of the storage units that I'm using in my craft space, and I had a gal named Nancy email me, and she wanted to know if I could give more information about the kinds of things I store in each of the different areas of my craft space, and information about the storage units themselves. So I thought I'd put together a quick video and give you more information this way as opposed to doing an entire series of still photos. So I hope this works for you, and if I have to talk really fast, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get a lot of information in because I think I could spend probably 40 minutes going over this stuff, and I only have 10 for YouTube videos. So we'll do what we can. But I'm going to start over here at the right side of my desk. And I keep a tall stack of drawers here, and in them I keep things like buttons, twinkling H2Os, I keep some art glitters, some Pearl-Ex, paint pens, gel pens. I have a drawer of charms and some miscellaneous silver embellishments like jingle bells and snaps. And I guess the one thing I'll mention about these drawers is that whenever possible I try to keep things in Roy G. Biv color order. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And when possible, I try and divide up my storage units to make the most use of my space. So for example, my orange button drawer, I don't have very many of each of these orange colors, so I divided the drawer into two and split the colors up that way. The yellow drawer, though, is so full that I don't really need to put a storage or a divider in there because I just let the buttons fill the drawer. These drawers work really well for me. I'm able just to pull them out to my workspace and dig through, find the button I want, and stick the drawer back into the unit. So it works really well. I also use some old Stampin' Up! Containers to store buttons, and these are just miscellaneous. I use the Stampin' Up! Ink Rounder to store my dye inks, and these are they're not stored in the typical Stampin' Up! Color families. What I've done is I've broken them out red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, followed by neutrals. And because this is just the way that I think and the way that everything else is stored, it just kind of works well for me. The overflow goes over into this rack over here, and my neutral colors are here, followed by pinks and purples, and then the few craft inks that I have I keep stored over here. This is a great rack because it also has room for the re-inker tubes as well, and it has slots for markers that I don't use. On top of that, I just keep some miscellaneous stamps that I've illustrated for Whippersnapper, and I keep buttons with or jars with buttons in them, old ones that I buy off of eBay, and I keep a gigantic jar of just ribbon ends. When I get to the end of a roll of ribbon, I put what's left, if I'm not using it, into this jar, and it just keeps my nearly empty spools from taking up prime real estate in my other ribbon storage areas. This is another thing that I do that I'll share. I keep hemp twine and ropes and things like that in these little glass jars, or jars of any size, and what I do is I punch a hole in the canning lid and pull the twine through the hole. And then I have a really quick way to access the twine that's inside, and I don't have to open up the lid each time I want to get into the twine. This storage rack for ink that I use is a curio cabinet that I got from my aunt years ago, and it's perfect for storing my ink pads. And one of the things that I do for my ink pads is on the edges of my ink, I stamp on a label the color of ink, and I write the title or the color name, and then I can quickly see which ink I'm looking for as I look at my shelf. And then up above I just have a mostly empty Coca-Cola rack that'll be used for smaller doodads and things like that. The display rack that I keep my markers in is a Copic retail display rack, and I chose to use this just recently because it allows me to store all of my various shaped markers together in the color series that I want to. Before, I wasn't able to keep the round markers with the oval markers with the square markers, and they all had to be separated into their own storage areas. And I wasn't utilizing my colors the best. And so now with this unit I can actually keep them all together in the right order, and I can keep, a square marker with round ones or with oval ones, and keep them all in the right color order. The other thing I'll share that's Copic related on my workspace is how I store my refills. And what I choose to use are these containers that were meant for EK Success flat punch storage. And I found that you can actually get 3 refills in each of the slots meant for 1 punch, and so you're able to get, in those 8 slots, you're able to get 24 re-inkers. And so then what I do is I just keep them under my desk in a storage unit down here, where they're all nice and out of the way and organized. And again, I keep them in color series, and I've even got a couple of extras that I found on clearance for when I pick up any more refills. And also in the back of this drawer, there's still more room for me to store larger tools that I don't use very often. So the big bites in there, my crocodile, some scissors, things like that. This is the item on my workspace that whenever it's in any photo, I always get emails asking about it. This is how I store my colored pencils, the ones that I keep on my desktop that I use most often. This is actually a acrylic display that's used was probably used at like a cash register counter to sell things like pens or pencils, or maybe small reading glasses, things like that. It's just made out of acrylic. It has 12 different sections, and they just work perfectly for holding the pencils upright, and keeping them on my desktop keeps them nice and organized, and I just love it. It works out really well. I wish I could find another one, but I've never seen another one like it. So you might want to watch eBay if you look for acrylic display unit or point of purchase acrylic display. You might find something similar. Another thing I'll mention about my workspace is this color chart that I have hanging above my desk. This is actually a map of how I have my watercolor inks prepared in my watercolor palette. So this is my palette. It's a leak-proof palette, and it has various different pans inside, and I've basically just put re-inkers in each of the different pans in various colors, and of course it goes red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, back down to neutrals. And then this is the map that shows me which color is where. So I've got a sample of the color as well as the title. And I do that so, for example, if I run out of a particular color in a pan, I know which color to put in there. And I also use it because some of the inks are really dark when you look at them and when they're pooled. And having a color palette to reference makes it just a lot easier to know which pan to go to for which particular color. On my desk I have a unit that has 4 6x6 drawers, and in it I store 6x6 paper. This drawer is for basic gray, and what I do to help keep myself organized is on the glued side of the paper pad I write the name of each series on the spine, so that when they're stored in the drawer I have a quick visual of which pad is where. I also use a lot of memory box paper, and I buy it in the 6x6 size as well, but they don't have a glued side to their paper packs, so what I do for their storage is a little bit different. What I do is I put each section of paper in its own area, and I keep the cover sheet that comes with their paper pack, and I mark it with just a little yellow tag, and each section then has its own start and end point. So it's really easy for me just to grab in, pull out the section that I'm looking for, and slide it back into place. Just like with the basic gray paper pads, I do the same thing with Cosmo Cricut. I write the title of the paper pad on the top spine, and I store these in a drawer so that the words are facing upright. And these pads are actually 6.5 by 6, so they don't store in straight up and down like the others. But with a drawer that's not quite so full, you can actually store them in just fine. And here I've got them stored in with a drawer that has some miscellaneous colored envelopes from Memory Box, and it works just great. On the left side of my desk I keep more storage units. On the top is this little wooden cabinet that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I just keep miscellaneous stuff in here. I've got a small little sewing area, some miscellaneous doodads, things like that. On top I keep my glue dots and my foam dimensionals in an acrylic business card holder, and I find that it's just enough space for me to have enough glue dots and dimensionals out, and then they're not taking up space on my workspace or in my other project areas. Also on the left side of my desk I keep things like adhesive. So I've got a drawer dedicated to adhesive, and I keep this well stocked so I am never at a loss for something sticky. And I also store my acrylic blocks and the inks that I use most often as well. So my blacks and my browns. And I just keep these organized here. On the other side I keep glitter. And this is all organized again by color. I use these little spoons in my larger glitter trays to dish the glitter onto my project. Let's see. These are the little Martha Stewart glitter tubes. and to keep them upright, because they're kind of tipsy-turvy and they get all wonky in the drawer, and end up taking up more space than needed, what I did was I created this little cardstock divider unit to separate the different rows of glitter, and that worked out really well. It keeps them all upright, and I can see what color is where, and it just keeps it nice and tidy, and everything takes up a lot less room when it's organized. And oh look, more glitter. So lots of glitter here, bigger Martha Stewart jars, and these little stickles I keep in a basket just like my clear blocks. And again, I created a little divider, a paper cardstock divider here to keep the stickles in their assigned row. Well, that's it. I hope this has been helpful for you. Maybe you've gotten some ideas of things you'd like to do yourself. Maybe you've gotten some ideas of things you definitely don't want to do. But regardless, I hope you've enjoyed, and thanks for watching.